الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم
أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسول الله.
I testify
that there is no God
except for Allah. And I testify that Muhammad is his servant and messenger.
Hello, Muslim friends of the world. The Muslim population in Canada has increased more than threefold since 1996. According to a new survey on religiosity in Canada by StatsCan, Islam has become the fastest-growing religion in the country. Analysts in the report published by StatsCan wrote that the religious landscape in Canada has undergone significant changes. From a sociological perspective, the study of the evolution of religion allows for a better understanding of some of the changes facing modern society. Additionally, religion is important concerning population changes as it can affect key demographic factors such as marriage, divorce, and fertility, the analysts stated as reported by the Western Standard, cited on the About Islam website. According to the survey, from 1996 to 2019, the figures for various religious groups as a percentage of the total population show that the Muslim population increased threefold from 1.1% to 3.7%. Furthermore, the proportion of Canadian Jews decreased from 1.1% to 1%. It was also mentioned that the Sikh population doubled from 0.7% to 1.4%, and the Hindu population doubled from 0.5% to 1.7%. Meanwhile, Catholics remain the largest religious group in Canada at 32% of the population, while Anglicans and United Church members account for a combined 8%. Until the end of 1985, there were few Muslims in Canada, with the religion categorized as other in federal surveys. The post-war Muslim population was so small that StatsCan's predecessor, the Dominion Bureau of Statistics, removed Muslim from the 1944 census questionnaire. Meanwhile, the survey published on October 28, 2021, found that religious affiliation, religious activities, and the importance given to religious beliefs have declined over the decades. Presenting key trends in the evolution of religiosity in Canada since 1985, the survey showed that 68% of Canadians aged 15 and older reported having a religious affiliation in 2019 compared to 90% in 1985. The survey mentioned that the proportion of people attending group religious activities at least once a month nearly halved, from 43% in 1985 to 23% in 2019. Additionally, 71% of people reported in 2003 that their religious or spiritual beliefs were somewhat or very important, compared to 54% in 2019. Lastly, the proportion of people engaging in individual religious or spiritual activities at least once a week also declined, from 46% in 2006 to 30% in 2019, the survey stated. There are approximately 1,053,945 Muslims in Canada. This number has proven to increase with each census, every 10 years. The majority of Muslims in Canada adhere to Sunni Islam, with a smaller portion following Shia Islam. According to the report, by 2036, the religious groups in Canada will number 12.9 million Catholics, 5.4 million Protestants, 2.8 million Muslims, 1.2 million Hindus, and 1.1 million Sikhs. Despite the increase in the Muslim population, Islamophobic attacks in Canada have risen at an alarming rate. Many attacks are directed at Muslim women. Additionally, online hate speech has also surged in Canada. The National Council of Canadian Muslims, NCCM, reported that since the 9/11 attacks, Muslims living in Canada have increasingly faced anti-Muslim sentiment. Anti-Muslim sentiment is not only growing but also evolving, said NCCM Communications Coordinator Fatima Abdallah to Global News. Based on Canadian statistical data, hatred towards Canadian Muslims increased after the World Trade Center attacks and gradually evolved. According to Daily Sabah on Saturday, September 11, in 2004, there were 99 anti-Muslim attacks, which rose to 135 in 2009. The numbers continued to rise and spike. 2 years later, in 2017, the year of the Quebec City mosque shooting, there were 349 attacks. Subsequently, the Quebec government instituted a law banning religious symbols from being worn by public servants, such as teachers, nurses, and police officers, while at work. Critics say the regulation unfairly targets Muslim women who wear the hijab. The prevailing narrative of all this sentiment is that Muslims are trying to infiltrate and take over the West and commit white genocide or at least change the culture, said Canadian Anti-Hate Network Executive Director Evan Balgord. Driven by the horrific attack in London, Ontario, last June, a meeting addressing Islamophobia was held on July 22 by Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. The meeting provided an opportunity for the Muslim community to identify concrete ways to combat Islamophobia across the country. This summer, the National Council of Canadian Muslims, NCCM, released a set of 61 policy recommendations for all levels of government to take action against Islamophobia. The non-profit advocacy group developed the recommendations after holding consultation sessions with mosque staff, community groups, and organizations representing Canadian Muslims nationwide. The reality is we can't keep adding to the list of horrible things that have happened. For our community, it's about survival, said NCCM Chief Mustafa Farouk.